Alright, this is the second half. Michael, I want to talk to you a little bit about today, finish up on what I started yesterday, as far as the some of the just the habits and or things that are just commonly done in the way of living either dual lives or secret lives or not telling stories just to save face. I don't know if that's just for the old ones in the country that they're just trying to protect their reputation uh, by, you know, not disclosing the real person, you know. And it seems like, to me, that there's a lot of excuses made because of their personalities by nature. You know, that some of the this is what they do, and that's just the way they do it, and that's just ingrained. Um, However, some of the principles that are ingrained in the most of the people that I would be in company with in the United States is that we're just taught good moral standards and help and be kind to your fellow man and do for others, not do unto others before they do unto you, but to do unto others as you would want done unto yourself, which is the golden rule. That's something that I learned as a Christian coming up. Um, However, some of my travels throughout different countries, going there, there's a lot of different things going on there as well. Uh, but I didn't, my experience wasn't where somebody was trying to either hustle or to steal or to trick me or anything of that nature. Uh, it was just that there was poverty there, and then of course they would ask for help if they needed to. I told you before, I think, that I traveled to all countries in Mexico just about with my parents. Um, and as a little boy, I would always see little children even selling gum. They would call it chicle, and also shoe shines. So when I would come back from those countries, or from that country, and those different places, I decided at a young age that I would build a little shoe shine box and do the same here. And my parents taught me that good work ethics and hard work is what got you places. And I'm of the impression that maybe it's not that way. It's from listening to others, it might be that if you just beg or take, that that's how you get ahead. In my particular experience, I saw the poverty and the struggle in the face as well as in the environment that the person was sharing with me when there was FaceTime going on. And of course, I felt very bad about it. But then what I would see also, or actually a third party from either that country or here, was showing me that that person was investing in property, was in resorts, um, and I don't know if you would call it climbing a corporate ladder, but there's no way, and even they've made comments, uh, my associates, that how does somebody sell eggs and kilos of rice and go to resorts and buy houses without some sort of wrongdoing maybe going on. She of course wouldn't be professing poverty to me and struggle and then being able to do those things. If I was hungry or didn't have, I wouldn't be crying broke, especially to somebody that I thought that would pay for something that I could never get. What I'm going to do is talk about that a little bit today. Is it this particular person very quickly, was honest enough to say that they were married but separated, And then after looking further, I saw that the populace of that country is married but separated. So I wanted to look into that, and then come to find, uh, I think that the hustle is, this is what I'm going to say about it, is that if they, both husband and wife, could get an American or Australian or Canadian or any country that's visiting that country or potentially would, to pay for something like that, that there's criteria in that also that has to be met. Just like in a divorce, it's not just irreconcilable differences. You have to have cause, if nothing else. And the same would go for the annulment process. You have to have, that's something that would be done quite early on in a relationship. And even in doing that, there has to be cause. And I think there was only like 5 things, like, are they related? Were they married before a certain age, without parental consent, etc. But these are grown women that have been married for some 10, 15 years. And then they're saying that, of course, with the wait time of 5 to 7 years and 10,000 US dollars, that you might, maybe, but most likely wouldn't get a annulment. And of course, they don't have that kind of money, and if they do, they don't want to spend it on that. They want you to spend it so that you can get to them. So that seems that that's the hustle. Get somebody else to pay for something that you can't get, the annulment. And the only thing that I've ever heard that was even ever argued or agreed upon is if there was reason to believe that the other spouse was mentally incapacitated. So the reason why I'm struggling with that 9-month relationship is that that was the only thing that I had to hope for. And then, of course, when I saw that this particular person was professing poverty and not having enough even to eat sometimes, didn't have the money for it, yet her husband worked at the airport as a security head, of sorts, police or whatever. I thought, well, of course you have that kind of money if, you have employment. She has a store, has steady employment and pays his support. But what I discovered, just without even looking too much into it, is that there would no way be grounds for an annulment because he does pay his child support, he's gainfully employed, and also is not mentally incapacitated if he is at a supervisory level in an airport. But then what became even more disturbing to me was that if scamming like that to a foreigner that would want to visit there, is that these are people that are people of authority, or that are in a police position, and that they should, be protecting not only their people, but any foreigner that would want to visit to their country. You wouldn't want to find out in the end that there was some kind of scamming going on, because then that gives you this uneasy feeling when you're in another country, you don't speak the language fluent, that you might be subject to some kind of hurt, and not just emotionally hurt, but other types as well, And I'm saying a whole lot, because I have a whole lot to say, and I just think that I have to say it all at once. And I guess I don't. Just hoping that you will, be interested enough to know some of the things that I discovered, some of the things that made me very uncomfortable, and the reason why I ended the relationship is because in my discovery there was even communication and conversation about making phony Facebook pages. There was a lot of aliases involved. There was currency that was displayed, that was said that was used for buying more rice, but I don't think rice is that expensive from the amounts of money that I saw. And that they want to spend your money and not their own. That's, of course, reserved for their family, etc. And then I felt, very hurt that, that if you were to get a woman from another country and make her your wife, you would hope that even if she had, children or a child, and you were to bring that child also with her, that would be just the end of it, that you would spend a happy life together, husband and wife, even with her child. And we as American men are open to that and would be willing to do that. However, that should be the end of it, not that you're going to take the wife and then her children or child and then also have to maintain some kind of livelihood for parents and uncles and aunts, and then even you hear stories that they have children that they don't claim because they're embarrassed or wanting to save face, and yet they would be paying out monies to their niece or nephew, is what they would call it, instead of their son or daughter, for the many years of your life. And again, the annulment thing too. If it's a 5 to 7 year process and you're in your 60s, I mean, just do the math. I mean, even biblically, a man's days 70, 80 if he's mighty. That's a long wait. And then if she's not completely free and clear with a Salamar, and you're in her country and you're messing with this woman, it's illegal. And I think that illegal stuff, even though sometimes isn't, maybe it's not exercised, or they just, even though it's illegal, they allow it. Maybe even prostitution there is illegal. But if you watch some of the YouTube pages about Walking Street, etc., you'll see freelancers and those that just work in those clubs skipping about and dancing around half naked, which would be fun for a single guy, I guess, if that's all he wanted to come there for. But if you're looking for the true wife, a good wife, and somebody that is in the world but not a part of that, of course you would, that wouldn't be a comfortable environment for anybody, and when I wanted to say this too, is that when I was in Jamaica, one time I did go there, and while I was in Jamaica, excuse me, I fell off my motorcycle. I got stung by an insect, fell off my motorcycle and cut my foot open pretty bad. And I had to get sutured up, and there was no trauma center or any place to do that was real close by. So I had to go to a resort and have the resort nurse do that for me. And it was just uncomfortable, to be somewhere like that, and I think that from what I've seen in pictures, anyway, is that very much so is the Philippines is like that. You get hurt there or need to call 911, it might take hours. When you need minutes to survive, it could take hours before you get to a trauma center. You could bleed out. You could, if you were having issues with your heart or any other part of your body, it's just not going to be very easy access to medical help. So when you're thinking about traveling or retiring in a country that is limited in ways that would not be, that would be foreign to you, going to a foreign country like that, but very common to them, you might live to regret that decision to go there. So I think in most cases, most people that are, past 50 or whatever, and it's not just to go there to have a good time and experience a parasitic environment, it would probably behoove you to come to this country where you would have all those things. And so would the bride that you brought here too, or her children, if you, or child, if she had one. They would have access to, things that you're more, used to. But like I said, when I was in Jamaica, there's other places in the world where you can go, and it's just not real easy to get, medical attention if you would need it. So unless you're just some young guy that's, like a Tarzan type and beating his chest, and if you cut your foot off, you could sew it back on yourself. Or if you have issues with medication, anything like that, I don't know that that's the country to go to, especially if you're running around hiding and dodging and weaving with married women that are separated. So I would hope that that you would at least hear this from me is that go to these YouTube channels, listen to some of these folks that are telling you that this is the way it is here. It's a way of life. It's the way it is. And then you have to ask yourself, is it worth what you're going there for? You know, and I'm not saying that there's not beautiful women in that country, that they're not worthy of your attention. I'm not saying any of that. But you got to be careful because they're trying to get something that they can't get. I don't think an annulment process is easy. If it were, it wouldn't take 5 to 7 years to do that. And you have to ask yourself how much time or how much life do you really have to live? And do you want to live it waiting for something that you most likely won't get? It's a way to get in your pocket. And that, my friend, is very disturbing to me because I don't care where you go in the world and how poor people are, when you're around people that would not answer questions when there's red flags popping up, or they go into what they call tampo, which hopefully that's done out of respect and so that they don't say something that they'll regret. But if you have a question about where were you, I understand you were across the street having lunch with your ex or something while you were at the market. So and so told me that tampo stuff doesn't work, and just also finding out that repressing poverty and then buying homes and guitars, etc., for their children is not common when you're selling eggs, half a cup of milk. My son eats so much, etc. But then you're buying apartments or houses for 16-year-olds, and not too bad or shabby looking. And then in hotel resorts, that's where I'm just totally baffled. I just feel like, wow, I was just being pulled in, and it did feel like I was just like listening to the Sirens song, and the smiles, all that's there. And I think that they work on that, and they work on your ego, because as we get older, we just don't get the attention that we did when we were younger, maybe, and then all of a sudden we get it from them, and then we feel like we still got it and that we can handle all that. And then when you actually look at the label, as it were, if you're a person that's conscious of what you put into your body or your mind, you're going to be a little bit more diligent at doing that. And when you do, and then you find out it's nothing, the ingredients they're toxic, it's not good for you, you shouldn't consume that, you should just shy away from it. Sometimes it's too late. You're just pulled in, and you're just so wrapped up into that you don't know how to get out. And then when you ask about it, like, why would you do that? Maybe to them they'd think, well, why wouldn't I do that? Because you have more than I do, and I have a need. But I think that even though people in this country, there's a lot of people that have needs, and there's a lot of bad people here too in the United States. And when they have needs, they go about it the wrong way, and they would hurt somebody else to quench their thirst or to satisfy a need. And I just think that that my first initial impression of that country was that there was very little or none of that there, and that's what made it more the paradise than the beautiful beaches or the beautiful women, is that their spirit was different. That's what I was hoping for. I just felt like, wow, I'd love to meet something like that, and that beautiful, and it would find me to be a good man and somebody they would want to settle down with and be loyal to, as I would to them. and I got a surprise in my life, and I'm extremely disappointed. But